That's bad.
It's Fiero time, everybody. That's right. We are getting back to work on the Fiero today. If you guys haven't seen the videos or just don't remember because it's been probably 17 years since I've worked on this car on video, this is my wife's 1985 6 Fiero that ran and drove. It just needed brakes. So to fix the brakes, what I did was rip the engine out and stuff a LS4 in here and built a turbo kit for it. That'll help the car stop, right? So we are still kind of in the midst of the build, and we got to a point where we were just stuck waiting on a bunch of parts. Well, now we've got a bunch of parts here, and we can start to get back to work on it. And it helps that the Mustang is running. I just need spark plug wires, which should be here today. And the RX-7 is actually running, and I could drive that thing around today, right now, actually. So for you Fiero guys who maybe aren't familiar with the RX-7 here, this is, you know, basically the same thing as the Fiero, except the engine's in the front. It is a turbo 5.3, little baby turbo, little baby motor, making little baby horsepower, and it's really fun. So there's like a handful of things left to do to it. Either manual brake conversion or hook the vacuum back up, because honestly, even last year with the turbo kit, the vacuum brakes worked perfectly. So I might just hook that back up. And I've got to actually connect the hoses to the water tank in the back and get that mounted. And then after that, we can really start plucking away on this thing. I was playing with the tune a little bit yesterday, and playing with the two-step. This thing's fun. It makes fun noises, and I cannot wait to get it back out and have some fun with it. I'll have you know that last year, the car at the track without the ballast that I was using, and by ballast I mean 2 iron big block Chevy heads that weighed about 160 pounds together. That's the ballast that I was using in the car last year to try to make it hook on the street. So at Martin US 131 Motorsports Park, without the weight in the back and I think about a full tank of fuel, it weighed 2840, 2860, somewhere around there. 2850, basically, with me in it. And it was like 55% on the nose. Well, now, with all the changes we've made, we went from this intake on the car, and this is a fairly heavy intake. It's cast aluminum. It's probably 30, 40 pounds in that range. We went from that to this. A much bigger cast aluminum intake with the air-to-water intercooler there, the brickyard. And I gotta say, I was nervous to put it on the scales. Now, I knew that some of the weight was moved. We have more weight in the intake, obviously, but we did drop weight pretty much everywhere else. So if you remember, we had the truck manifolds. Those are pretty heavy. These things are like 5 pounds, and full stainless exhaust, aluminum downpipe, or uppipe in this case. And we were able to get rid of the truck balancer, and which meant we could move this in, got rid of the shims and everything, which isn't a huge amount of weight, but a little bit here and there definitely adds up. So basically what I'm saying is, with this water tank, again, if you guys haven't seen this 20-gallon water tank in the back. I know, air-to-water setup, you usually use like 5 to 7 gallons. But I knew that this thing was going to be nose heavy, so I wanted a lot of weight in the back here, behind the axle. With this thing filled to the brim, I actually just drained it. With that thing filled to the top, the car is perfectly 50-50 and 2,900 pounds even. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like to disclose how much their car weighs or how much power it makes, things like that, how fast it runs. But realistically, what I do is just for entertainment. So car weighs 2,900 pounds, and it should be able to make like 700 at the tire, maybe. Anyway, that's not what today's video is about. This video is about old Blue here. So, like I said, we're getting back to work on this, and if you can't tell, there's a lot of things that we still have left to do to it. The fuel system is basically done. There's a few little things I have to do, including run the line from the pump there up to the fuel rail. I got to switch this line over. I'm just going to run it like that. We've got the Corvette style fuel filter and regulator down there on the firewall. I guess it's still a firewall. So I just need to run a line up here. I still have plenty of heat shield, so I might run it up on the inside of this oil line. That's where I'm going to run the oil line for the turbo, the feed line. The drain line I still have to make. And it looks like there should be just enough room for the shift cables through here, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If not, I'll figure something else out. It would be kind of neat to make like a elbow bracket that kicks this off sideways. That'd be rad. I don't know if I'm going to do that or have to do that. I probably don't. But generally, I'm not personally aware of anybody who's LS swapped their Fiero and used the stock transmission. 9 times out of 10, they use a swap transmission like the F40 transmission or something like that. The guys who do use the stock transmissions, as far as I'm aware, generally put like a small block or something in it so they don't have to deal with this. They're old carburetor boy. So yeah, today the things that I'm going to try to get done are some of the bigger things, like get the wastegate welded on, because that's just been sitting there for like a month just waiting its little turn. And we need to get the charge pipe made. We're not going to be running an intercooler on this because this is basically just for show. It's going to be running like 5-7 pounds of boost, which should be plenty. And might run it like once it gets into boost, we might fatten it up a little bit to help it, but honestly, 5-7 pounds of boost, it'll be fine. I'm not going to worry about it at all. And I'm not going to put a boost controller on it. I'm just going to put like a 5-pound spring in it and just call it a day. So my plan for the wastegate is simplicity, I guess. You can see that there's kind of a kick there. I'm probably just going to weld it right in here somewhere. Can you see that? Right off that elbow, so it has really, really good priority. And then from there, I can run the dump pipe over here and out this side, like that. Because you can see over there, I've got the turbo down pipe. But instead of having just one little, like 1 7/8 pipe, I'm going to Y it off at some point, even if it's just like blocked off in there just for looks. I'm going to Y it off and have 2 little boys right here. Didn't mean for that to sound weird. And then 1 over there. But I think the thing that I'm going to start with, because it's easy to get to, is the charge pipe. And it should be pretty simple. I mean, it's basically just a 90 and a weld on the blow-off valve. Which, for the blow-off valve, some of you guys are going to like this. Let me find it. Actually, this might be it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's going to sound amazing. It's going to sound so good. So for anybody who doesn't know what this is, obviously this is a blow-off valve. But the thing that I'm so excited about with it is this is like the stereotypical like JDM style blow-off valve. The one that you hear in like Fast and the Furious where they're like, that's this one. This is a knockoff version. I'm not going to spend $400 or $500 on an HKS, but this one was like $40, and it should still blow off the valves. So I'm super excited about this. And you can change this thing to get a different pitch of the sound. I'm honestly excited. So now's the fun part where we start to get mocking stuff up. And honestly, these 90s look huge. I might not even have to weld. All right, sick. I could have saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. Yeah, so it looks like I can cut this about in here. Right. So this thing, the rib for her pleasure, is right there. So there's plenty of room to get a clamp on. This looks like it should fit pretty well in the coupler right there. We'll mark you right here, I think. And now we can take it over to the saw and cut it. Saw, dude. Saw, dude. Are you a good boy? I saw that tail whip. Alright, so if you don't think this looks cute, then you need to reevaluate some things. You know, honestly, I actually think that looks pretty good. It looks super geometry. Let's get the blow-off valve mocked up. So this is supposed to be one of the ones that push into like a coupler that would go like right here or whatever, and it pushes into like a little deal. But this is aluminum. This is aluminum. I am capable of welding this. So I think I'm going to, I don't know where I'm going to put it just yet. Probably like this, give or take. The only thing is I think it might look kind of silly having just that. So I'm going to have to cut this down a skosh perhaps. Or maybe we'll actually, what if we put it in here to fill that gap? That could be pretty rad, except that's where I want to put the coils. I mean, I could put it up like this, actually. Yeah, maybe we'll put it like that. And that should still leave plenty of room for the coils. It takes up some of that, like, dead space here. Because the other alternative is on the outside edge here, and then that makes the vacuum line for it kind of all on its own, looking weird. Same with out here, either way. Yeah, I think I kind of sold myself on up here. So for anybody who doesn't know, a really handy way to cut the hole for these, especially in aluminum, is to not cut the hole for it. Get it welded on first, and then find a hole saw that fits just inside this, and then hole saw the bill. So I think we're doing pretty darn good. There's a small gap on the sides here. I think we're looking pretty good. Now we can get it welded on. All right, got the flange welded on, got a test fit up here, everything kind of mocked up in place. We can see now how the valve is gonna sit here. It's gonna be sick. I am actually super stoked. So I'm a little irritated with myself because normally it's not this bad, but for whatever reason, even though I tried cleaning the absolute heck out of it, this aluminum just had so many contaminants in it that it was welding like trash. And I played with the settings a bunch, and I think I'm still gonna go back over it a couple more times just to try to get like a clean looking weld. Not that it's necessarily bad, it's just kind of ugly. So anyway, not a big deal. And now that we have that flange welded on, we can get our hole cut out. So this is a 1-inch bit, and I think a 1 1/8 would probably be perfect in here, but I've already got this, so I'm gonna make it work. I can always go back with a little Dremel and clean up the edges. So I'm going to probably take this over to the bench so I can clean it out and not accidentally get anything in the motor. And I'm just going to right through there. And then at that point, our charge pipe is done. All right, got the hole drilled. The 1-inch actually worked out perfect. So now I can put the blow-off valve on, which is held in with this C-clip. And I kind of expect this to be a pain in the butt. Finally got this thing on. It was actually really not too bad. So the only tool I needed was the C-clip plier. It made it pretty easy. And I had to grind down the end of some needle nose. That also made it a little bit easier. And then I had to use like a normal flathead style screwdriver. And then I also needed to bend the ends of a normal pair of needle nose pliers. Those helped out a lot. And a sideways pick really came in handy. And a small flathead screwdriver. That's all I needed, really. So it wasn't too bad. Alright, so I know that this video is probably running a little long. I rambled for a bit at the beginning, so we'll probably wrap it up here, and then in the next video, we'll get to work on the wastegate pipes. But you gotta admit, from up here, it's starting to take shape. It's starting to look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. I think the simplicity of the pipes looks pretty good. Like I said earlier, I need to just run the fuel lines, slap the wiring harness on it, which will be in one of the upcoming videos with it. Trying to get back to work on this thing. I'd like to have it running honestly as soon as I could. So we're trying to get back to work on it. So hopefully you guys stay tuned, keep watching the videos. I appreciate the support. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell. I'll see you in the next one.